This is a paper written for UniKL Teaching Alive Symposium. The title of the paper is TPRS in Online Class During COVID-19. The authors are Ling and Wei, both from UniKL RCMP. So what is TPRS? TPRS utilizes reading, storytelling, and personalization of topic as the teaching approach. So basically, it is students and teachers coming together to read a story or to create a story together under the guidance of the teacher. So there are some elements in TPRS, for example, emphasis on comprehensive input, repetition, question asking, physical actions, and fun elements, which we will mention in details later. So the introduction, we are going to focus on talking about online class before COVID-19 and how it changes after COVID-19. So before COVID-19, online class has been held in many universities around the world. So there are advantage and disadvantage for online class. So first of all, of course, it's convenient because you can take the class wherever you are. You can even take the class overseas without going to that country. And it also solved the decreasing enrollment. So for schools who have lesser and lesser students, online class actually helps them to get more students. And for a school which has limited or short of classroom, online class also solve this problem. Whereas for the disadvantage, online class could not replace some of the benefits of face-to-face class. So students actually say that they find direct feedback from the lecturer actually much more helpful than the peer review exercises or the online forum. And also, they also say that face-to-face class actually provides better interaction for the students and the teachers, and also the students and students. So students will usually choose face-to-face class for more challenging subjects. So after the COVID pandemic hits, what is once elective now turns into mandatory online class. This is to stop the spread of the pandemic, which is very necessary. But on the other hand, it also creates a lot of problems and challenges for both students and teachers. So one of the biggest challenge is the lack of stable internet connection for a lot of students. This is especially true in places that are more poor and also rural region. Secondly, students also faces a lot of mental health challenges like depression and also anxiety due to a long period of lockdown and isolation from their instructors and peers. Some could also be due to domestic violence as well. So the long separation from instructor and peers actually leads to low motivation among the students, which results in the reluctance to engage in online class activities. On the other hand, for the lecturers, a lot of them actually lack the knowledge to conduct an efficient online class. So studies shows that a lot of lecturers actually still use the method that they use in face-to-face class. They copy and paste directly to use it on their online class, which is not very efficient. So in this paper, we will try to find out whether TPRS is an efficient and adequate method to use during online class, especially in the times of the COVID-19. So the literature review. Alright, we are going to briefly go through the history of TPRS. So before TPRS is created, there is actually another method that is called TPR, which is Total Physical Response, that is created in the 1960s by James Asher. So Total Physical Response is actually a method that connects the physical action together with the spoken words. So for example, if the teacher say, wave your hand in a third language, the students will wave their hand. So this way of connecting the action with the words actually helps students to memorize the words better. So Ling Wei, on the other hand, while he was exploring with this TPR, he found it to be very effective, but students will get bored very easily after constant repetition with this exercise. That's why he created his own method, which is TPRS, but at first, the name is actually Total Physical Response Storytelling. So he combines TPR with storytelling in order to make it more interesting. And then after a certain period of time of exploring in the method, he changed the name into Teaching Proficiency Through Reading and Storytelling, emphasizing on the comprehension input. So this is actually highly influenced by Krashen's theory of comprehensive input. So in Krashen's theory, students acquire a language through meaningful input that is understandable to them. So he emphasizes on the comprehension input rather than the outcome of the learning. So the teaching method is kind of like we are teaching a very young children. So when we are teaching a very young children, we don't just throw him or her a grammar book. So we give the children a lot of meaningful repetition and input. We talk to them. So TPRS is the same. So we are making conversation that is meaningful to them, that means something to them. And storytelling is a good way to convey this. Alright, so some of the characteristics of TPRS: question asking and adding fun elements into the story. So there are a lot of types of question asking in TPRS. So one of the examples is actually circling. So circling is asking different questions to a same statement in order for students to repeat the statement without letting them feeling that they are actually repeating. For example, if a student has learned the word years old, so I'll give him a statement. Ali is 20 years old. So how do I make him repeat using the word years old? So I will ask questions like, is Ali 100 years old? And he'll be like, oh no, Ali is not 100 years old. Is Ali's younger sister 40 years old? No, Ali's younger sister is not 40 years old. So based on the statement, Ali is 20 years old, I can ask different kind of questions related to this statement. And also adding fun elements into the story. So adding fun elements can really capture the attention of the students. So some of the examples are a lady that drinks 200 cups of tea a day, or a mouse that wears a jeans. So something like that that's eye-catching, that you can add into the story to focus the students. So the effectiveness of TPRS. So according to the previous research, so most of them we see they are actually comparing TPRS with traditional teaching method. So what is traditional teaching method? According to Lichman, a traditional teaching method is a grammar-based syllabus and textbook, exercises demanding students' output and grammatical accuracy, and teaching a large set of often thematically organized vocabulary. So it's basically teaching a lot of grammar and vocabulary and emphasizes on the output. So while comparing TPRS with traditional teaching method, the previous research shows that TPRS is beneficial to students' grammar, vocabulary acquisition, listening, writing, speaking, and motivation in studying. So even though there are a lot of research dedicated to finding the benefit of TPRS, not many research has actually done about TPRS in the online platform. That is why the goal for this research paper is to find out whether TPRS is an effective teaching method in online platform. And these are my research questions, which is, how does TPRS affect students' learning outcome? And also, does TPRS improve students' learning experience? So the methodology. So this is a quantitative research using questionnaire. And there are 60 students who participate in this research. And they are all from UniKL RCMP, and they are all taking Mandarin 2. So all the students attend 2 TPRS sessions. At the end of the second session, they were given the questionnaire to fill in their feedback. So how was the TPRS classes conducted? So the TPRS classes was conducted on Microsoft Teams. The students were guided through 2 TPRS stories that were pre-planned by the instructors. The instructors would ask multiple questions, and the students would answer according to the pictures that were shown on the PowerPoint presentation. For example, this is one of the PowerPoint presentation we have. So at first, we only have this picture, so we don't have the words. And then I will ask question like, what does Spider-Man likes to eat? And they will answer, Spider-Man 喜欢吃汉堡包, which means Spider-Man likes to eat hamburger. And then I'll click, and then the sentence will come out. And then I will ask, does he want to eat hamburger? And they will say, yes, he wants to eat hamburger, which is 他要吃汉堡包. So the students were also given chances to add additional information into the stories as well, to give them a sense of autonomy. At the end of each session, they were given exercises to retell the story. The result and discussion. So the result is separated into 2 main sections, which is to answer our research question of whether it improves the students' learning outcome and what is their learning experience. So the first one, whether TPRS improves the students' learning outcome. So from this table 1, we can see that TPRS actually is very beneficial to students' comprehension skills, listening skills, and also reading skills, with 3 of them actually scores 80%, where students agree that this TPRS actually benefits them in these 3 skills. Whereas it is actually lower when it comes to speaking skills and writing skills. So we think that TPRS actually benefits them in input-related skills, which is listening and reading, and also comprehensive skills, which is the question we ask them here is actually, do you think that this TPRS learning actually helps you to understand better when the teacher is speaking Mandarin in class? So they think that yes, this exercise actually helps them to understand better. So this is an improvement in comprehensive skill, which is a very important skill in communicating. And to answer the second research question on whether TPRS affects students, how TPRS affects students' learning experience, we find out that TPRS actually is most beneficial in improving students' concentration during class, which almost 80% of students agree with that. Secondly, so there are around 75% of students agree that TPRS actually increase their motivation in learning a third language. Whereas, interestingly, in the previous study from other researchers, they say that TPRS will actually make students feel less pressure when they are learning with the method. But my finding shows that less than 60% of students say that they feel less pressured when they are using TPRS to learn. So our conclusion is that TPRS is most beneficial to the concentration and motivation of students learning a third language. So the other feedbacks from the students are 81.7% of students think that TPRS helps them to remember the things they learn in class, whereas 73.3% of students agree that they can get the correction from the instructor on time, which actually helps them to learn from their mistakes using TPRS method. So in conclusion, The finding of our research shows that TPRS is an effective approach to use in online class. Story asking, which requires active interaction between the lecturer and the students, also allow the students to stay focused during class time. The fun teaching content also sparks their interest and motivates them to continue learning. TPRS benefits students' comprehensive input, which aligned with the learning outcome of the UniKL Mandarin class, which is to build the communication skills of the students. Whereas there are also some limitations in our study. So in TPRS, there are also a lot of physical action involved when students and teachers are creating or reading a story. So when we are doing this in front of the laptop camera, it's actually a little harder compared to when you are doing in a class, because there are limited space in front of the laptop camera. And if you want to, like, for example, talk about a story that a person go to another place, you cannot do the motion of walking, because if you do, you will be out of your laptop camera. So the second challenge is that students often have their camera off, so it's actually hard to evaluate their reaction when we are doing this TPRS method. Whereas when we were doing it in class last time, we can actually see from their face like whether they understand, and to modify our follow-up question according to their expression, etc. So in order to make the teaching more efficient, proper gadgets and also altering some of the class rules are also very important. So this is it for my presentation. And these are the reference that I've used in the paper. So I would like to give thanks to UniKL Teaching Alive Symposium team for arranging this research paper writing, and also arranging the talks and trainings to help us to come up with this paper. And I also want to thank my co-writer, Ms. Wang Xiaowei, for her suggestion throughout the process. And also I want to thank students from UniKL RCMP. I want to thank them for answering the survey question and providing us the feedback. So without the people above, this paper will not happen. So thank you.